Homeless little girl saves biker after a terrible accident. The Hells Angels leader's next move shocked all. Watch this incredible story and don't forget to subscribe, like and share for more amazing videos. So let's begin. The winter air in Boise, Idaho, cut sharply against 8-year-old Lily Carter's cheeks as she walked along the dimly lit streets. Her thin jacket offered little warmth, and every step felt heavier than the last. She had been homeless for 6 months, drifting between alleys, shelters, and abandoned buildings after losing her mother. Lily kept her small backpack close, the only thing she had left from her old life. Inside were 2 broken crayons, a half-torn notebook, and her mother's faded photograph. Hunger pushed at her stomach, but she kept walking, hoping to find a gas station or store where someone might give her food, or at least let her stay warm for a moment. As she reached the edge of the highway, the night suddenly erupted with the violent screech of tires. Lily froze as a Harley motorcycle skidded across the slick road, sparks flying as metal scraped asphalt. The bike slammed sideways, throwing the rider forward. He rolled violently until he lay still near the guardrail, the cold wind lifting dust around him. For a moment, Lily didn't move. Her heart pounded and fear urged her to run. But something inside her, something braver than her small frame, pushed her forward. She sprinted toward the fallen biker, her breath clouding in the wintry air. The man groaned weakly, blood trickling from a cut above his brow and down his beard. Cars continued passing, slowing only for a second before driving on. Nobody stopped. Lily knelt beside the man, noticing the large tattoo of a winged skull on his jacket. She didn't know much, but she recognized the emblem, Hell's Angels. She swallowed hard, fear rushing through her, yet she refused to leave him. His breathing was shallow, barely steady. Lily tore a strip from her already worn jacket and pressed it gently against his bleeding forehead. Her hands trembled from cold and panic, but she kept pressure on the wound. "Stay awake," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Someone's coming. You'll be okay." The biker opened his eyes slightly, surprised to see a little girl trying to save him. Gasoline dripped from the overturned motorcycle, forming a dark puddle creeping toward the man. Lily immediately grabbed his arm, trying to drag him farther away from the leaking fuel. He was far too heavy for her small body, yet inch by inch she managed to move him into safer ground. Her lungs burned, but she didn't stop. She felt in his pockets, searching desperately, until she found his phone. The screen was cracked, but still worked. She dialed 911 with trembling fingers. When the operator answered, she whispered rapidly, "A man crashed his motorcycle. He's bleeding. We're on the highway near the old exit. Please hurry." Her voice cracked, but she stayed calm. The biker's eyes began to close again, and Lily shook his arm gently. "Hey, don't sleep. Help is coming," she said. Her breath trembled with each word, but she kept talking to him, telling him her name, asking him to hold on, begging him not to give up. He blinked slowly, listening. Minutes felt like hours in the freezing night, but Lily refused to let go. She stayed beside him, applying pressure to his wound, shielding him from the cold as best as her tiny frame allowed. At last, distant sirens echoed through the air, growing louder. Lily exhaled shakily, relief washing over her as the red and blue lights approached. When the paramedics arrived, they were stunned to find a homeless child guarding a full-grown biker like a protective angel. As they lifted him onto the stretcher, Lily stepped back, exhausted but relieved. She had saved his life, without knowing he was a man whose world and the world around her would soon change forever. The next morning, Lily sat quietly in the small shelter where she slept, hugging her thin blanket around her shoulders. She barely slept that night, thinking about the man she had saved. She had no idea who he was, only that he had groaned and whispered thanks before paramedics rushed him away. By mid-morning, the shelter director approached her with a surprised look. "Lily, a man here wants to see you," he said gently. Her heart skipped. She had expected punishment, or perhaps a warning, not visitors. She followed the director out, curiosity and fear mixing in equal measure, unsure what kind of man would need to see her. Outside, a line of motorcycles roared quietly into the street. Lily's eyes widened. Over 100 black and chrome bikes gleamed in the morning sun. At the front, a tall man with long grey hair and a matching beard stepped off his Harley. His leather jacket bore the insignia of the Hells Angels. Lily froze. Could it really be him, the man she had saved? He walked toward her slowly, his massive frame almost intimidating. But when he stopped in front of her and bent down, his eyes were gentle, almost grateful. "You saved my life," he said quietly, his voice deep yet kind. I just tried to help," Lily whispered, looking down at her worn shoes. She felt small and unimportant compared to the sea of motorcycles and the towering men around her. But the man shook his head, smiling softly. "No, what you did, it wasn't just trying. It was bravery." He called the rest of the Hells Angels forward. The bikers slowed their engines and formed a semicircle around Lily, watching silently. Not a single word was spoken, yet their presence was commanding. Lily's heart pounded, but she felt safe. These men, who she thought might be dangerous, had come because of her courage. Rusty Hale, her rescuer, pulled a small envelope from his jacket. "This is for you," he said. Inside were clothes, shoes, a notebook, and a voucher for a school and medical care. "You're going to have a chance most kids dream of. You earned it." Tears sprang to Lily's eyes. She could hardly believe it. The bikers cheered quietly, not loud enough to disturb the quiet street, but enough to make Lily smile. She had expected strangers to ignore her, maybe mock her. Instead, hundreds of adults, some with fearsome appearances, were honoring her. They weren't just thanking her, they were making her part of something bigger. Lily hugged Rusty tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. He ruffled her hair gently. "No, kiddo. Thank you for showing all of us what real courage looks like." The bikers started to ride off slowly, their engines rumbling like distant thunder, leaving a trail of awe and inspiration behind them. For the first time in months, Lily felt hope. She had changed more than one life that night, hers and Rusty's. From the cold streets of Boise to the warmth of a new beginning, her bravery had sparked a chain of events no one could have imagined. The homeless little girl had become a hero.